going on with y'all, YouTube? Tay, here we go. You know what I mean? We're back with Tay Talks 101 podcast and stuff that I haven't really done in a recent good little minute. But you already know what. Matter of fact, before we even get this video started, what I want y'all to go ahead and do is hit that like button, hit like, comment, subscribe, and turn notifications up for your boy. We on a road to 10K. Back, doing a little bit of podcast, talking with you guys about a little bit of situations that's going on in the world. The whole 9 yards, you get what I'm saying? So we're gonna do all this shit. You feel me? So the first one I want to go into depth with is actually explaining about the 50-50 rule. That's been one of the topics when it comes down to relationships. One topic is, should, your relationship have a 50-50 rule, meaning everybody, it's just 50-50, splitting down the bills from the top to the middle, and what's my intake when it comes down to situations like that. Growing up, as just a young kid, my grandparents was married for 53 years, long time. And my granddad and my papa was one person that I looked up to a lot in a lot of situations when it comes down to taking a lot of relationship advices. And really just seeing just how their relationship carried when it came down to the mentality of how it is from a man perspective. As a man, you're supposed to be leading by example. We have some rules where it feels that, the man is supposed to be paying all the bills. The wife actually take care of the things when it comes down to the house, rather be the cooking, the cleaning. My intake when it comes down to that is, true when it comes down to the man is supposed to be, going out, says in the Bible that, a man don't work, a man doesn't eat. So you got to be able to go out, as a man is actually supposed to be working, fulfilling of actually paying the needs of paying the bill. When it comes down to it, I feel like everything, in my opinion, has to have balance. I feel like, as a woman perspective, you're doing cooking and cleaning and whatnot. I feel like, every now and then you should be able to have, those conversations to where, as a man, you shouldn't have your wife just, doing stuff around the house, just her doing the cooking, doing the cleaning and different things like that. You're able to have that balance, and that's where communication plays a big role in those aspects. If you know for a fact that your woman or your wife or whatever the case may be, girlfriend, spouse, whatever the case may be, they're busting their butt, they're in the house, they're doing a lot of cooking, they're doing a majority of the cooking, cleaning, washing the dishes, washing the clothes, cleaning the bathroom, straightening up the bedroom, different things. Then it's it becomes just a repetitive to the point where the woman feels like, man, I'm just doing all this stuff. You got to be able to give your woman, your wife a break. Okay, let me go ahead and help you out with these things, because I see that you're literally doing that. I'm going outside, I'm actually working, I'm making sure that we have food on the table and clothes on our backs. So the only thing that I would have to do, it's not asking too much from me, but to go out and straighten out and actually, do stuff around the house too also when it comes down to that rule. Each generation is different, when it comes down to that. But I feel like now the whole world has changed in those aspects, because it's been so many different situations to where the point where it's a lot of women are actually starting to show their masculinity side. They feel as though that they're becoming that they're showing their masculinity, their dominant side, to the point where they feel the need that they really don't have the need to have a man, because they're so used to actually paying and doing things on their own. So, of course, when it comes down to when they meet a man who actually presented themselves of showing the alpha in them and whatnot and showing them the intent of it, then actually be able to help them show their feminine side now. Because now actually the men actually that are into the generation now are actually not really fulfilling the needs of becoming or responsibilities as a man. Therefore, they're actually starting to show their masculinity side. They're starting to depend on I don't need a man for that. I'm going to pay my own bills. I'm already doing things that a man is actually doing, so why do I need a man in order for me to doing those things, right? So that's where a lot of a generation of men are actually starting to lose that cycle when it comes down to them probably not having a father in their life, and rather be just things that's going on in their household and not having their parents in their household is not necessarily. And that's why it's very important to understand actually when you have these conversations and these talks when it comes down to your spouse, their family history. Did you have both parents in your house? Did you have a dad growing up? Did you have a mom growing up? Did you have some form of male figure or a woman figure, whatever the case may be in your life? Because when you have these conversations, then a lot of stuff starts to make sense. Wow, I wonder why this person's acting like this, or why when it comes down to the 50, why is it like this, or different things of that nature. Then you start to really grasp and understand, okay, now I know what the hell is going on. I understand why this person is thinking the way they're thinking or acting the way they're acting. But the whole rule when it comes down to the 50-50, I feel like when it comes down to it, you have to have being biased, When it comes down to that, there's going to be some times where, a lot of women, And the roles have sometimes been reversed. You know, some men actually make more than a woman, and some women actually make more than their men. So it's kind of like a balanced out thing to the point where it's like now a lot of them actually starting to make more money than the actual man, and it makes some men feel uncomfortable. They're like, man, like my woman makes more money than me. You know, it makes them feel like they're just take them outside their comfort zone to the point they feel like, man, like, you know, I'm not used to actually this going around. I'm not used to this. So when you're in a situation like that, you start thinking stuff, okay, like, you know, some men thinking like, man, like, you know, it makes them really have their pride or has a big ego to the point where it throws, you know, their ego off, different things like that. So it really has those different, you know, makes those situations kind of feel uncomfortable to make sense to them. So it's very important to understand that each generation is different when it comes down to the 50-50 rule. The 50-50 rule, I feel like, is one of those things where it's like, you know, someone's actually picking up the slack. But then also you got to understand at the end of the day that it's coming down, we're putting out a 50-50 rule. You're paying this, you're paying that. But also at the end of the day, understanding that when it comes down to it, we're not just equally, we're not just individually, we're all as one. So when it's all said and done, when it comes down to the 50-50 rule, I feel like people really just got to understand, man, you know, if you have a spouse, you have like a loved one, or really just you have someone, a significant other that you feel like you want to spend the rest of your life with, and you know, you understand at the end of the day that you're going to be spending the rest of your life with each other. When it comes down to the 50-50 rule, spend those bills, whatever the case may be, you know, I feel like as long as you have a good communication skills, communication, that's number one. You got to be able to understand, in my opinion, communication is very important to understand. Like, you know, it might be some months where you feel like you might be making more than me the first following month, but at the same time, you got to understand, like, you know, you got to pick up your end of the bargain. You know, I'm in it just like you in it, so you got to be able to understand that I'm working just as hard as you're working, right? So we made it a rule, like, you know, we're gonna make sure we pay this amount on this day, but we still have to be able to like figure that out, you know. And I feel like with the 50-50 rule, it has a lot of people, you know, kind of scared to the point where they feel like, you know, like as a man, you're supposed to pay like all the bills, and when it comes down to the 50-50 rule, they're just like they're just understanding like, you know, I'm not really making as much as my woman, but then also we're able to like compromise and equally have the same amount so that now we can pay everything, do this, that, and third. Now, of course, if you're actually going out on a date, you know, which woman, my opinion, when it comes down to that, you got to be able to like pay for your woman if you're going out somewhere, because it just makes you just understand, like, you know, as a man, like if I'm taking you out, we're going to a nice, you know, nice ass restaurant, some nice, you know, and that's what the topic's about, the Cheesecake Factory, different types. Like, I'm taking you out there somewhere nice. The least thing that a man really can do is really just paying for the food, because at the end of the day, you are the prize. And I feel like in today's generation, I feel like a lot of some men, I ain't gonna say a lot, but it's some men out there who, you know, really just take their eyes out of the prize. They're really they get the woman, but they forget to date the woman, if that makes sense. They forget to actually doing the things to actually persuade them and actually got them the woman that they have now. So I feel like that's really like a lost art when it comes down to stuff like that. Is it really just you gotta be able to, like, you know, still treat every day just like, you know, like I'm just meeting you. You know what I mean? So I feel like those things is really a lost art when it comes down to the actual relationships, and when it comes down to the 50-50 rule. You just got to be able to like understand, like, you know, communication is key. We're in it for the long run, and we'll just be able to like compromise with each other to get a clear understanding, so that way we'll be able to like take care of the things, rather be in your household financially. You know, if you guys have kids, making sure the kids are taken care of, like all those things play a pivotal role in the 50-50 rule. It's just really just the biggest part, communication. That's number one. Really number one. Man, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. A little bit of more videos, stay in tune for you guys, a little bit of different talks. If you have any suggestions, any comments of different other topics that you guys want me to cover over with you, you know, it's New Year 2024. You know, I'm going up, you know, just posting as much videos as I can for you guys. I love you guys. It's been a pleasure talking to you, man. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.